Hello viewers, welcome to The Profile. I'm your host, Arif Anis Malik. And as you know, in this program, we keep inviting a few of the incredible people, those who are leaving their footprints in different industries and at the same time carrying out some amazing work. Some work which is changing lives and inspiring people. Today we have the privilege to have with us in the studio two guests who are outside the UK. I would like to introduce you to the amazing Lidia Markovic Rosati from Serbia and Thomas Bjorg from Serbia. Both of them are international trainers. They train worldwide, starting from the Serbia, Macedonia, Sweden, Belgium, and the UK. They train in one discipline, which is one of the most amazing disciplines of the recent times, and that is neuro-linguistic programming. A bit of tongue twister, NLP, let's shorten it. Lidia and Thomas, through their amazing work, they are in fact leading a company which is called Momentum Strategies. This company, they are in fact working, educating, training, delivering coaching sessions through this company. And they are reaching out to thousands of people. They are also doing some work which we are going to explore later. But before we get into that, let's see what they have up their sleeves and how to decode this kind of tongue twister, neuro-linguistic programming. So Lidia, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks, and thank you for inviting us here.
Excellent. You recently finished your 3 or 4 days training with one of the biggest names in the world. I'm referring to Tony Robbins. Unleash the power within. Did Tony bring you to the UK this time?
Tony actually did bring me to the UK this time because this year counts the 9th year of me being a part of the crew within the Robbins environment. And it is such a beautiful place to be in. So every year I make sure that I clear our momentum timetable so that we could be in London for that event. It is just, it is amazing to see people transform their lives, to be involved in that, to contribute to them seeing different things, seeing the world differently, and really having amazing breakthroughs.
I'll definitely ask you a couple of more questions about it, because those who don't know, Tony Robbins, affectionately considered being one of the world's best coaches, transformational coach, I would say. And there are millions of people who follow him worldwide. He conducts his sessions all around the world, but particularly in few countries, where he reaches out to, and this might be a little surprising, sometimes 5,000, sometimes 6,000, sometimes 10,000 people in one session, under one roof. So unleash the power within. How many people were there this time?
Anything between 5.5 to 6.5. It's always hard to say.
Right.
So it's a big crowd.
But 5,000 to 6,000 is still a big crowd. Particularly when you're looking at, say, 12 hours to 14 hours of continuous learning.
Yes.
Then this is a large crowd indeed.
Yes, it is quite impressive.
Good. And one of, because I've been through the UPW myself 6-7 years back, and I could recollect one of the most hyped event, which is part of the program, is Firewalking.
Yes.
Right. So what happens in this in the Firewalking, that you walk on actual coals, right? So Lidia, tell me more. What Firewalking is?
Firewalking could be anything you want it to be. It really is a metaphor. And for those people who haven't done it, I wouldn't want to spoil it. Okay, I have done it many, many times, and every time a firewalk for me means something else, because we go through different phases in our lives. We learn things, we grow, we have different insights, we have different breakthroughs, and every year brings something new that you want to either work on, that you want to leave behind, and really really, walking on hot coals is just really walking on the street.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is a metaphor for what you are burning. What is it you want to burn? What no longer serves you in your life? What is it you want to say goodbye to?
Great.
So you can imagine, 5.5, 6.5, 10,000 people, cheering and walking the hot coals. It is absolutely amazing.
And infectious
and to actually help
spirit,
people walk through those coals is priceless. You see fear, then you see apprehension, then you go through, I'll do it because, my partner is doing it, or the friends I came to do it. And then when they come to the line, of course, we are trained to help those people go through hot coals. And you know exactly what to pay attention to. And it is absolutely amazing.
And by the time they're through, because when I myself through, and then I have helped myself scores of people. So, and then the jubilation and the kind of ecstasy, kind of fireworks. In fact, right after you just cross that, and
the firework that brings fireworks. That kind of, when you do that, you can do anything. You walk on fire.
Excellent. So mainly, firewalk is in fact the kind of walk which is all about breaking through your limitations.
Yes.
So whatever limits you, it could be a fear of walking on coals, or it could be a fear of public speaking, or it could be a fear of, say, getting into a relationship. It could be like all of us, we keep on nurturing scores of fears.
Yes.
And somehow those fears, they define us.
Yes.
Why? Because only when we conquer them, we are what we are. Like the best comes out.
Yes.
And that's where, Thomas, I would bring you in. Neuro-linguistic programming is considered one of the most effective tools in smashing fears.
Yes, indeed it is.
Exactly. Phobias and fears. And as a trained psychologist, I could see myself that, yes, the standard psychology through its, say, theories and therapies might take sometimes months and years to make it happen. Say, when we say relieving someone from the phobia or a fear, but NLP does wonders. I've seen myself, I've done myself, sometimes in 10 minutes, sometimes in 30 minutes, sometimes in 60 minutes, you could smash someone's fears for good. How do you do it?
How do you do it? Well, I have a good friend, and I told him about my interest in NLP. And so he said, show me. I've got a fear of trains.
Okay.
And the trick is to be able to see whatever it is that you're really afraid of, but have no feelings as a response to it. The way we accomplish this is to look at yourself from the outside. And sometimes that ain't enough. So you have to look at yourself looking at yourself from the outside.
So there's a bit of distance.
Yeah, so you're not even experiencing it yourself. You're imagining that you're looking at yourself experiencing it, and that you're looking at yourself experiencing it. After having done this for a couple of minutes, and bear in mind, my friend had no background in NLP. He felt a drastic reduction of his response to trains. And there is another part as well, which is to basically experience the fear-inducing experience backwards. It's a little bit funny if you think about it, because when you experience something backwards, so say you have a phobia about spiders, and so whenever you see a spider, you freak out. Now, if you have that experience backwards, it goes like freak out, and then comes the spider, and you can start feeling calm. And so it's really funny. So you train your neurology to have that stimuli present of which you have been afraid up till now, but considering it calmly. This friend of mine actually gave me the best description of NLP I know about. He said, NLP is pretty much what I thought psychology was going to be when I was a kid. Then I grew up and found out that psychology is just make-believe. No, that's what he said. But NLP actually teaches you how to use your mind. And I think that's a beautiful
As a trained psychologist, I would protest.
Yes, and
but yes,
understandably so.
Psychology, psychology deals with with the belief system, and make belief is one strong part of this entire the way we look at the world. In fact, so I would rather try to simplify what you just said to those viewers who are less into psychology or who are less into jargons. We would keep on simplifying. And I'll be asking the similar question, probably different situations, so that they might get some help. So today we expect these two international and acclaimed trainers to offer you some support through the neuro-linguistic programming in different areas of your life. So, but before we do that, Lidia, you have been a banker to start with.
Yes.
So somehow you got into life transformational coaching as a life coach, as an NLP practitioner, a master practitioner. So that sounds like quite a U-turn.
Yes.
So what brought you here?
Yes, one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead and train to become a trainer of neuro-linguistic programming was that I was looking for more. I was looking for that something extra. And I realized that I wasn't getting as much out of being at the bank. Being a banker, traveling, sitting in meetings, but not really accomplishing a lot. But I still felt not fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And I felt I had this kind of internal dialogue that was saying, hey, there is something more to life. You can do more. You can do da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. And I'm a multi-passionate person. I've got many interests. I've got many, many talents, like pretty much every single human being on this planet.
Sure.
So I came across to Tony Robbins, and I went to his Unleash the Power Within seminar. There I met people who were into NLP, and then I went ahead and I trained. I did my practitioner, I did my master practitioner, I did my trainer's training.
What is practitioner? What is master
is the basic training.
Right.
It is just the basic training that you can get in NLP. You get acquainted with terminology, you can do certain things with it. It can help you change things for the better.
Okay.
However, there are different levels. If you want to reach mastery, you really need to go
in any given discipline.
In any given
so
discipline.
Talk about medicine, talk about engineering, talk about psychology.
Exactly. Anything you want. You can't just because you're talented, you can't go straight to university. You need to go to kindergarten,
There are
you need to go
steps.
to primary schools. There are steps that you need to follow in structure. So NLP is structured in a way that takes you through different steps until you reach the level of trainer. And we are both, Thomas and myself, are trained, are international NLP trainers, trained both in, I'll keep this simple, both in classic code NLP, which is the NLP that when it started in its inception, it was called what it is now, NLP. And then with the creation of the new code NLP, which started developing in the mid-80s, we decided to follow that too. So we got trained into the both the classic and the new code. So I'll just, I'll say briefly what it is. The classic code NLP is very similar to the cognitive behavioral therapy, in other words.
CBT, yeah?
Yes. It sees a problem. A client has got a problem. You teach them to do something else, and they do that. They do something else, and hopefully the problem would go.
Right.
Okay.
Let's stop here and probably put an exhibit.
Yes.
For example, a client has what problem?
Biting nails.
Okay, right.
Okay, let's
nail
say.
biting. Okay.
Nail biting.
Okay.
Yes, let's go with that because it's simple,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure lots of people could identify.
I just feel like doing it.
Exactly. I just feel like biting nails.
Okay.
And so in the classic code, people would learn a technique that would teach them how to
I'm
stop
the guy.
biting.
I'm the guy.
Yes, you're the guy.
I'm coming to you. Say, shrink.
Yes.
Please save me. I can keep doing it all the time. So
So in the classic code, here I want to make a distinction between why the new code gives results, gives long-lasting results, as opposed to the classic code that gives only results up to a certain point.
Right.
So if you come to me and you say, okay, Lidia, I'm biting nails and I can't really stop, please help me. So I can offer you a technique. For example, one of the techniques. Okay? And you train with me. I see that you can do it, okay? And within 5-10 minutes, boom, you don't bite nails anymore. You're in that exactly same situation, yet the need to bite nails has gone.
Right. Say if we are in this situation and I feel like biting it, so you spend those 5 minutes with me.
I spend 5 minutes with you.
Okay, let's do it right now.
Okay, let's do it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I see you. When do you know it is the time to bite your nails?
Whenever I get into a situation where I get a bit anxious.
Okay.
Yeah, I get a bit worried or concerned. I just feel like.
And when do you see when would you say is the point of no return? Like it's too late to go back. You realize it. You realize that your fingers are going towards your mouth.
I don't realize it's already in my mouth. By the time I think about it, it's already there.
Okay.
So,
Can I ask you to just in your mind's eye, just step out and look at yourself? Where would you say would be the point of no return? Where would you say the moment where you kind of realize, oh, damn, I'm going for the nails again. I know I shouldn't, but okay, this is one last time.
I couldn't understand. What did you said something about the mind's eye? What's that? I can't do that.
Okay. Like if you closed your eyes, or even if you don't feel like closing your eyes, could you see yourself doing that?
So yeah, because I've done it so many times, I could see myself.
It's automatic. Okay, so you can see yourself. Okay,
right.
And could you tell me when is the point where you think, you feel, you see it's too late to go back? To put your hand in your pocket, for example.
Sometimes I would say, it's already there, and I say, oh goodness, I'm doing it again. So,
okay.
So it seems it just happens automatically, and I don't know how the whole thing goes.
It is an automated action.
Yeah.
Okay, you have like no choice about.
Well, unfortunately, no.
Okay. Do you feel you have no choice about?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, okay. And how about if I asked you to think of the super compelling picture of yourself? How would you like to be instead? If you weren't biting nails when you're anxious, what would you like to do instead?
Probably biting something else.
Probably biting something else.
So but not my nails.
Okay, now your nails.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right. And would that be a compelling picture for you?
Yes, I would like to see myself someone who is totally composed, who is not like who can handle himself when one gets anxious and frustrated, worried, and wouldn't do that.
Great. Can I now ask you? You don't have to describe that Arif to me.
Okay.
Just see if you can create an ideal, the most attractive version of Arif.
Okay, myself, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No biting nails. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so you're not biting nails.
All right, so, okay, I'm, good. Yeah, I can do that, yes.
You can do that,
yes.
Okay. Now, if I were to ask you to step into that compelling picture, this super ideal picture of yourself?
Well, that's, now how can I step into that one? It is somewhere there in my imagination.
It's in your imagination.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to bring that picture in front of you? Would it be easy for you to do?
Okay, so I could get closer to that picture.
You can get closer to that picture.
Okay, say kind of, all right, fine. This picture is right now there in front of me, yeah.
It's in front of you, okay. Would you feel comfortable stepping into that picture or maybe taking that Arif close to you?
Okay, so in a way, so that it envelopes me, like hugging that picture.
That.
Okay, right. Okay, so yeah, I think I can get into that.
Okay. Yeah. There is another option you may want to do, is remember that picture.
Okay.
Remember that state in which you are.
Right.
Okay.
It says state.
State.
What's that?
That situation, that you being in that situation, how you behave in that situation when you are not biting nails, in your perfect, in your ideal, the ideal image, if you like, of yourself, the most compelling one, like the most attractive one, the super
me,
Arif, so that you actually can't wait to get into that picture, into that role, if you like.
Right. Okay.
How does that feel?
That's very exciting, in fact. Yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah, doing something I can resist myself and don't do that. And that become one which I want to.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Good.
So, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were to step outside from where you are sitting. You can even imagine that, you can feel it, you can hear it.
Kind of, okay, my ethereal body stepping out of myself.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Just, do you know
what happens in those movies, in fact? Like
yes, like in the movies, when you like look.
Out, okay.
Yes.
Your spirit or something coming out of your body.
Yes.
All right, and moving away and probably
like when you look
floating around or
even if you just, when we watch a movie, you kind of look at the actor.
Yeah.
So can I ask you to look at yourself on the screen?
That's better. That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Say someone on the screen just looking like me. Might look like, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How does that feel? How is that different?
If their lookalike is biting nails, it feels bad, and if the lookalike is not biting nails, it feels great.
Okay. Great. Okay. So this is one way of dealing with a challenge.
Oh, great.
Okay.
So,
and this is the classic code way of doing things. For example, I have never asked you, for example, what your intention is behind biting nails.
I don't know, but I could tell you though that in the situation I do that, as is shared, say, presumably that I'll be frustrated or anxious or worried, and that's why I would do it.
Sure.
Right.
That's the classic code way of doing, the classic code NLP way of doing things.
Right. And who is the originator of the classic code?
The originators are both Dr. John Grinder and Dr. Richard Bandler.
Right.
They created NLP. They're both co-creators of the discipline called Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
Exactly, great. And they're both my teachers as well, like yours.
Yes, like mine. Exactly. So it's fantastic. The new code NLP gives long-lasting results. The reason why I want to make a distinction between the classic code and the new code is that what we have just done is very likely to come back as a problem.
Right, right.
I'm not saying it will happen. However, the experience shows that problem solved once can repeat in different circumstances. Like in cognitive behavioral therapy.
Certainly,
you change something, you give client a tool.
There's a habit pattern behind it.
They do it, there is a habit, there is something else, okay?
Right.
You're basically dealing with a symptom, but you're not looking at the cause.
Right,
Okay, so the new code NLP does something very, very beautiful. It is very elegant, it is very simple, okay? And yet it carries with it, a certain dynamic.
Right.
And the difference between the classic code and the new code NLP is predominantly in the fact that the new code NLP uses state in which a person is when they approach the problem, or the solving of the problem. They use the intention, and they use the help of the unconscious in all the steps of the change. In other words, the change process, the change happens from the level of state, the level of intention, and the level of the unconscious, where the unconscious is involved in every single step of the change process. In the classic code, the change happens from the level of behavior, and that's it. And that's why the behavior is likely to come back again. And I will just very quickly explain what I mean by state, intention, and the unconscious.
Sure, yeah.
State is something that we have choice over. If, for example, you are biting your nails, when you're anxious, right? You are going to go into, I'm anxious, I need to bite my nails.
Because I'm in fact biting my nails for a particular outcome, right? Because it feels better.
It feels better. It satisfies the need.
Any human behavior, any given behavior has a particular outcome. Even if it looks crazy, it has a particular outcome.
Of course.
And that's usually a positive outcome for the person who's doing it.
Always.
Like those people who say who are smoking or who are, say, even into drugs. They're doing it, but there is a positive outcome for them. It might not be positive, but there's something attached at the end.
There is always, absolutely, there is always an outcome. Or something, a need that people need to satisfy by engaging in a certain behavior. There is always a need that they're fulfilling. And so if you don't know what the intention behind it. The simple level would be, okay, the intention is, oh, I don't know what the intention is. I just feel, it is the way I deal with the problem or a situation.
So it's in my DNA. I'm programmed like that. I don't know why I do that, but I just do that.
Exactly.
So I got frustrated, I got angry, I bite my nails, or I throw things.
It is the way, most people would say, oh, it is the way I am. Okay. Yet that behavior is a learned behavior.
Okay.
And every behavior that is learned can be unlearned. Okay. So if you look at the intention, the reason why a certain person or how a certain person engages in the behavior, you are very likely to help them find a solution within themselves to grow out of that. In other words, to find an alternative behavior that would satisfy the original intention behind the behavior that they want to change. Then there is a state in which you are in, like a mood. For people who are not familiar with NLP, a mood you are in when you are approaching solving that problem, for example. If you are in the state of anxiety, and if I offer you a tool, from that state, you're not very likely to create a long-lasting change.
Okay, so when you talk about states, isn't it true that all of us are in a particular state at any given moment in our life?
Sure.
Like I might be tired, I might be excited, I might be super excited, I might be sleepy, I might be dizzy, I might be frustrated, I might be anxious. So there could be 50, 100, 200 states.
Yes.
And there are a few states where happen to us more than often.
Yes.
And they happen to all of us. The moment we say we get up in the morning and start our day, we are in a state.
In a certain state. We have a choice of our state.
Exactly.
Thomas.
You used the term states happen to us. And that's the common experience. My emotions happen to me. I just experience them. But there is another way to think about this, and that is we are continuously creating our emotions.
Yes.
How do we do that?
Well, unconsciously for the most part. But let's take this notion of state for a few moments. If you think right now of some state you would like to experience, and ask yourself this question: how do you breathe when you're in that state? And just spend a few seconds, maybe half a minute, actually finding the breathing that fits with that state that you're thinking of. Can you feel that you're already moving towards that state?
Well, say, I need to think of the state, and I need to feel how I am breathing. Say how fast or how slow or...
Yeah, it goes even more specific than that. No, most people, unless they're like yogis or for some random occurrence, pay particular attention to their breathing, don't pay much attention to their breathing.
Yeah, true.
However, unconsciously we tend to remember this. So let's pick any state. Let's pick motivation or let's pick calm. So how do you breathe when you're really motivated?
Okay, say we could breathe from the upper diaphragm, right? We have a deep breath, say stomach breathing.
Okay.
Right.
And let me ask you, isn't it the case that words are not quite enough to actually describe?
Yeah.
Because it's like
it's more somatic. It's more
it's
body.
somatic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can find that way of breathing, like when you breathe when you're extremely confident, and doing so will get your body into that state of being confident.
Okay.
This is the same stuff that scientists like Paul Ekman, he basically describes. If you put your face and mimic the facial expression you have when you have a certain feeling, then you tend to go into it, and they measure it biochemically.
Yeah, that's a good one you mentioned him. So there are two ways to look at it. That you can act it out and bring that emotion to yourself, right? So it is possible. Is it possible that you can act it out? So you're not happy right now, but you get into the physiology of happiness, and eventually you would feel happy.
Absolutely. Bearing in mind, of course, the ecology of the situation. So maybe there is a very good intention behind feeling frustrated because you need to pay attention to something.
Yeah.
So bearing those things in mind, if you're free from such intentions, sure, you can make.
What do you define
happy.
ecology so the viewers can understand?
Ecology is basically whenever you make a change in your life, to think of it long term. Will you be pleased with the change that you made? Are the costs that are associated with making that change worth paying? And also bearing your relationships in mind, will those relationships remain undamaged by the change you're making?
Excellent. So, while getting hold of you, Thomas, at this particular time, say if someone in the viewers is feeling not himself or herself, not on the top of things, feeling low due to low self-esteem or several reasons, and if you are dealing with a person, it could be the person across the screen for you, could you give some quick 3, 4, 5 minutes quick suggestions to the person, something we might help him or her alter the state which is feeling low?
Absolutely.
All right, good. So let's do it.
Okay. So if you're feeling low, the first thing I would suggest that you do is to break up this physiology of feeling low. So if you just stand up and raise your hands in that posture, you've seen it thousands of times on TV. Every person who runs across the goal, every cyclist in the Tour of France who wins, they will raise their arms towards the sky. So if you do that right now, and you do that little pumping the fist, like, yeah, I won. Just doing that, spending a few minutes doing that every day, will start training your neurology to have those feelings instead of the old feelings. Now, if you happen to feel down, there may be a myriad of things that have preceded your reaction of feeling down. If you're feeling not quite yourself, well, shake those feelings off again and start feeling the way you truly feel. Most of the time, when we feel a non-optimal way, it's because we are not paying attention to what we are feeling right here, right now, in the present moment. Sometimes this may be because we are taking on board what other people are thinking. So it's extremely important to ask yourself this question: according to whom? If you have inside of you some negative evaluation of yourself, ask yourself, according to whom? And just leave those evaluations that belong to other people with those people, so that you can actually start thinking and feeling and experiencing as yourself. This, I think, are two of the most important components to be able to actually get deeply into yourself so that you experience what you experience. This also, consider the alternative, to take on board everybody else's evaluations. It's impossible to satisfy everyone. This is a well-known fact.
True.
And if we take on board negative evaluations from others, I mean, sure, it's a good idea to listen to feedback, but you have to make the final evaluation.
Okay, Thomas, yeah. I have a situation. I do a shitty job. I'm behind my bills. I have 8 to 10 debit credit cards. Say companies chasing me because I missed my payments. I live in a crampy place. Yeah. Right. My relationship is not going good.
I'm
right.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh yeah, that's the situation. Right. Okay. So. Okay, whatever you just said, how would that affect, like, when I wake up, when I open my eyes, I see what I don't like, right?
Yeah.
I am in the situation that people are chasing me for money. I'm behind my bills.
Yeah.
My heating is cut off, right? And I'm cold, right?
Yeah.
And I'm in London, right? So, while these are the realities.
Yes, absolutely.
So, how could, like, just, if you ask me to feel good, feel better, think of something, so how could that work for me?
Well, I would like to start by making a distinction. So what NLP deals with is the way we think.
Okay.
It's not, it can be magical, but it's not the sort of magic that, boom, all your bills disappear like that.
Right.
The thing is, what can we help you with?
You broke my heart. I thought it works like that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, NLP can help you with the way you think.
Right.
NLP can help you with the way you feel, with the way you deal with the actual reality of the situation. It can't make the bills disappear just like that, but it can help you find the motivation, to find the inner strength, to actually start acting in such a way that these problems will diminish and eventually disappear.
Feeling miserable is not a qualification. It's not going to fix anything. So,
not necessarily.
No.
Some people are very motivated by feeling miserable, and personally, I prefer feeling good as a way of being motivated.
yeah, so only if you can make a choice. Only if one could make a choice. So, and that's something which is very intriguing as far as I am concerned. Like one point where we feel that we have a choice on whatever is happening around us. Mm-hmm. We have a choice to run the kind of emotions I would like to run, to watch or see the dreams which I want to,
yes,
and have those and experience those feelings which I want to. But most of us, we would say it just happens to us. I just feel great. I just feel low. I don't know what's happening.
It's the world.
Most of the people, yeah, exactly. The people, so many people. It's the news on the TV. It's the economy. It's the budget, right? It's the elections. These corrupt politicians, and say, oh yes, all those crooked people around us in the world, right? So there comes a stage when people could actually decipher, decode, or understand that yes. They could manage to run the emotion of their choice.
Yes.
I think the situation you describe is a common illusion. Not just common, I think it's almost universal. I fall trap to it every once in a while. Of course I do. I mean, even after all these years. But then, I have the tools, I have the skills to change it afterwards. The skills aren't really that hard to learn.
Right. Now, Lidia,
I would like to say
you're talking about the classic code and the new code.
Yes.
We haven't forgotten you, right?
Yeah, no, right.
So now you are a new code practitioner.
A trainer.
Trainer. And you're going to handle with that nail-biting situation.
Yeah.
So how would you do that now?
I would just ask a person to tell me what the intention would be behind biting nails.
Right.
I need to know that. Or even if you don't tell me, it could be totally your own thing. You can keep it within yourself. Right. I don't need to know, as long as you know what your intention is behind biting nails. Then we would work on your state.
Okay.
Because we could change the behavior if we change the state. And as Thomas mentioned, changing the way you breathe, changing the way you sit, changing the way you stand, changing the way, you think, will influence and will impact the way you choose to or not bite nails, okay? However, in order for the process to be successful, we'll need to get you into the right state. In other words, you will get yourself into the right states. We are just going to help you with a couple of new code games. And those games are games that take you into a high performance state, or something that is also called a flow state, a state where there is total and utter complete absence of internal dialogue. Because usually when we go ahead and try making changes, in most cases there is like a little internal dialogue.
I don't know. I don't believe it.
This won't happen. I've always been doing this. I have no choice, And usually people talk about, usually people on the street would not talk about having a choice in the matter.
True.
They talk about, having a control, because everybody wants to have a control. And there are certain things, we do not control things.
Right.
We could have a choice.
Who controls
over
it
things.
then?
We have got a choice over things.
Right.
So if I choose to create my own world the way I want it to be, so that I could have amazing results out there, in your latest example, broken relationships, credit card bills, no heating and other stuff. if I learn how to think, how to breathe, how to feel, how to be, how to act like somebody who doesn't have any of those problems, there is a structure to every behavior. So the behavior that people have or the circumstances they find themselves in are the result of certain behavioral patterns that they follow. And it really is just a question, as Thomas said, it's not a magic wand. The change does not happen overnight. However, the insight does happen overnight. And once you have that insight, from there you can start building or creating something towards something that you want, something that is the best scenario for you. So if you approach a situation from a state of absolute certainty that you have got an absolute choice in the matter, you're going to start breathing differently, you're going to stand differently or sit or lie down. There will be the absence of internal dialogue. And then when thoughts come back later, they're going to come as more empowering. You are going to feel more empowering. There are no two ways about it. We've done this with many, many, many people, and people have had amazing results. So change your state. Look at your intention, and once you do that, you play the new code game. And the new code game is just a series of games or processes, if you like, that include all of these parameters that I mentioned. They include breathing, they include physiology. There is a certain rhythm that they follow. Then they involve both the left and the right brain hemisphere. Those things are very important. And one key player for any change, and you as a psychologist know this, no change could happen unless we involve the unconscious, because every new behavior, every change happens.
Is it possible to fix me without my involvement? I would ask you this question.
You're not broken.
Really? So I'll get back to you later. Viewers, we are taking a break, and after the break, I will get back to our two magicians from Hogwarts. So stay tuned with us.
Thank you.
Hello viewers, welcome back. And today we have with us amazing Lidia and Thomas. Both of them are the neuro-linguistic programmers and practitioners and trainers worldwide. So Lidia and Thomas, yes, how do you fix me? When I must say me, I mean most of the people around myself, most of the people in the world would feel like it. I don't want to actually make the hard effort. I don't want to really do all this, change your behavior, and I'm not into doing hard things. So can you fix me without actually involving me, or is there some anything magical which you guys could use NLP and just fix me while the way I am, but that works?
Let's start with this presupposition, fix. That sort of implies that someone is broken.
Yeah.
No. No one is broken. Well, I mean, you could look at people that way, but we don't. We think of people as working perfectly, and sometimes they want to work in a different way. But we don't deal with like being broken or fixing. Really.
So they're not patients?
They're absolutely not. Being a patient implies illness, and we don't think in those categories.
Right, so NLP doesn't deal with psychological sickness, somatic disorders, other disorders?
Sometimes the results we can have with NLP can be the same as the results of a therapeutic process.
Right.
But we don't think in the same terms as a therapist does. We don't think in terms of illness and health.
Okay, quickly tell me 8 things, 4 things, what NLP is.
Yes. I'll tell you. Yes, NLP is whatever you want it to be. However, I would like to follow up on what you've asked, Thomas. We work closely with patients, mental health patients, and deliver accredited training applying neuro-linguistic strategies in curing psychosomatic illnesses. And that seminar is actually accredited by the Ministry of Health in Serbia and the Ministry of Education.
Excellent.
So
and you also told me that you are on the board of... I'm the executive board member of the European Association for Counseling, where I represent Serbia, and I'm the vice president of the Serbian Association for Psychological Counseling, Coaching and Psychotherapy. So am I. So, what I want to say is that when working with mental health patients, the reason why those people get quicker results by applying NLP strategies or any of the strategies from both classic and the new code NLP is that, that we don't attempt to help them get back to normal, to how they were. Because that is what psychology deals with. Psychology deals with getting people back to being normal. Now, if that normality worked in the first place, they wouldn't have gotten to where they are now, i.e. having a mental health issue. So by applying all these NLP strategies, especially the new code ones, whereby the client is allowed to choose the state with which they want to approach the problem. They get a very clear intention, and they create and they learn how to communicate with their unconscious, because the change will happen if the unconscious says yes, because all the change, all the new behavior, all the learnings do come from the unconscious. The unconscious is responsible for all the learnings, in other words. So that's why I find the new code NLP really fascinating and very easy and very elegant to use. Excellent. That was a good detailed answer. Now, what NLP is? 8 things, 4 things
Yes.
in one sentence each.
It can be anything you want it to be.
NLP is based on NLP is extreme psychology. NLP is based on the modeling of therapeutic geniuses and the distillation of what they actually did.
I'll say that in simple English.
Okay, so we had geniuses like Milton Erickson, who redefined the field of hypnosis, like Virginia Satir, a pioneering family therapist, and Fritz Perls, the founder of Gestalt. All these 3 geniuses, NLP made models of what they were actually doing. So NLP contains the distilled knowledge and skill set of these 3 geniuses.
All right, excellent.
The study of excellence. You said excellence, so I thought, okay.
Yeah, 4th.
NLP is learning how to communicate with yourself and others in order to change.
5th.
NLP is learning how to get the amazing results consistently, not just once, but consistently.
Interesting.
NLP is neuro-linguistic programming.
NLP is the branch of applied psychology that teaches you how to use congruently your whole neurology, your language, the way you speak, and how to apply those changes in your whole being.
Right, and the 8th one?
Well, NLP is about how to change the way you're thinking in order to get new and different results in your life.
Gustav, there's a lot of fluff about NLP, a lot of fluff. There are quacks who just come up and say, oh, okay, they could use their magic wand and fix anything up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Because there are lots of people who are very original, who are putting in hard efforts, who are professional like yourself, who are not only, say, you're not in for a quickie, but someone who's in for a long time, right? So there are some misconceptions about NLP as well. So now I'm going to ask you a reverse question. Once again, 8 things where NLP is not. So what NLP is not?
NLP is not some woo-woo study or branch that programs you so that you become like somebody that you're not or you don't want to be.
Those people who are scared of getting closer to NLP, a practitioner or say a trainer, they don't need to be any more scared of it.
No.
Right. So no one would just look at you and and program you what you don't want to be.
It's just words, you know. I mean, if you're an NLP practitioner and you know that in NLP we've got something that is called nominalizations, and that is just words. It's just simple words. So programming could be anything. I like to think of it as a conditioning, because what you do, you are not programming yourself, because that even to me sounds a little bit sterile, a little bit tacky, okay? So if you think about it as a conditioning, you know, you condition a new behavior time and time and time again. So
It happens to all of us, yeah?
Exactly. So you become like, you know, people who are, for example, depressed, they have conditioned that behavior, or they have programmed themselves to be like that. I know that some of the viewers watching this would probably say, oh, no, it isn't like that. You know, you don't know my story. And we know that people love their stories.
Exactly.
And I also love to hear people's stories, but I like to hear a person's story from the point of view of teaching them how to help themselves. You know, help me help you type thing.
Good stuff. So 1, 2. What NLP is not?
NLP is not mind control.
Right. So you can't get into my brain and fix it. Right.
Well, I can certainly attempt to influence, and you know, so you want to make sure that you're influenced by the right people, of course, by people who have your best interests at heart.
But yes, that's what we learned, that we are getting influenced by everything which is happening around us. But then it's a matter of choice that
Yes.
Absolutely.
and what we choose somehow happens to control us, or happens to have an impact on us. So we need to make smart choices for that reason.
Yes.
All right. What NLP is not, Lidia?
It's not a study of manipulation, like manipulating other people to do something that you want.
So those
them
people
to
who
do.
go to all those, get rich quick seminars, where they say, okay, you learn NLP techniques and you'll be able to sell £10,000 worth of program or course in a jiffy.
Yes, without even knowing anything about it. So no, that is not.
Right. Good stuff.
NLP is not that.
Right. 4th.
Well, NLP is not a therapy. It can have the same results, but it's about learning. We learn a lot of stuff. Some of it may not be very useful, but the fact that we've learned it means that we can relearn it.
Excellent. So 5.
NLP is not fluffy as the science or the scientists tend to see it.
The hardcore psychologists would say.
Yes, the hardcore psychologist. It is not fluffy. It is super, super deep.
Right, so it's not quackery.
It's not.
There's something deep inside.
Yes.
It has a pattern, it has a structure.
Yes.
It has a math to it.
Yes.
Okay. 6.
Well, NLP is not a prescription for how to live your life. NLP can help you make the changes you want to make. And I think that's a distinction which is extremely important.
Interesting. 7.
And 7, yes. NLP is not a branch to control you and to help you control your environment. It does not control.
Okay. It doesn't control, but what it does then?
It helps you create choices. It helps you create and have a choice over your life, yourself, and once you've got a choice over your life and yourself, your environment, you will then be influencing your environment, almost like a ripple effect. Once you learn how to understand yourself, how to think in a more efficient way, how to behave, how to be in a more efficient way, you will be getting better results or outstanding results.
Excellent. Thomas, 8th one. Come to you again.
Yeah. NLP is not a thing. So NLP is not one specific thing. NLP is rather like a skill set, a number of things you can learn to do. And it's actually, it depends on who you train with, what you will learn. And I think that might be important to add, because there is not like one fixed definition of the field of NLP. It's a little bit fluent.
And I'd like to add one thing, if
Sure.
I may, just to follow up on what Thomas said. NLP is a live thing. It follows the dynamic, it follows life, and it's not set in stone. For example, you don't just learn NLP and you think you're set for life. It is evolving. How you evolve, how the environment, how the world evolves.
And it's comparatively a new discipline as well.
It is a relatively
say
new
40 years, 45
something
years.
years, exactly. So you experience how you experience life. It may give a different insight into how you apply NLP. So rather than thinking, okay, this technique is set in stone, and we can't deviate from it, or we mustn't deviate from it, that would be wrong in my model of the world, in my view. Because you will live in a world that is dynamic, that things change all the time.
Evolving.
Exactly. So it evolves. And how things evolve, how the world evolves around us, it impacts us, we impact the world, and the NLP as a discipline changes and grows. So especially the new code NLP, there are lots of new processes that are coming up that are making all the classic code NLP processes, almost some of the classic code NLP processes, obsolete.
And that happens in all
that happens exactly
fields of knowledge.
Exactly, and if you think about it, I'd like to think of the new code NLP as a metaphor. I mean, you can take a bike and drive to France, to Paris, or you could take a Eurostar. So it will get you there.
Right. Yeah, but there'll be different experience.
There'll be different experience, and also, frankly, would you want to invest that amount of time if you have something that can get you an amazing result?
Faster and quicker.
Faster and quicker.
Safer.
Exactly. And yes, and as Thomas said, looking at NLP, and some people dismiss it because they've had, not a very pleasant experience with a teacher or a course or a training that went to. I would propose one thing, and that is not to confuse the discipline with the teacher.
Exactly.
The discipline is really amazing, and it can give you amazing results, as you know, and it can really help you wherever you want to get faster.
True, but at the same time, probably there's one thing to clear up, and that is that, say, NLP practitioner course, just to say, get into the field, 7 days crash course.
Yes.
Could be 12 hours, 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Then could be another 7 days crash course that you get certified, say, master practitioner. But say 14 days or 28 days or 60 days, what we understand as professionals, that's a very little time to acquaint yourself
of course it
with
is.
some field of knowledge and actually do it. So,
of course
so
it
those who are expecting results, those who want to do it for good, say, as a professional, they should be planning a long-term career into it.
Yes. It takes
Thomas?
10 and yes, I mean...
Yes, absolutely. It requires a certain investment of time and effort to actually learn the skill sets. Now, certainly, a 14-day course can give you the opportunity to be acquainted with and experience and practice all the important fundamental techniques. So, which also reminds me, there is one more thing NLP is not. NLP is not an intellectual left brain discipline.
Exactly.
NLP is experiential, and it involves the right brain. It involves feeling, whole body experiences. And the reason I mention this is that some courses present NLP and it's just words.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And words, as you know, beautiful tool,
Yeah.
nice to understand things intellectually, but it's not the same as being skilled in some field.
Excellent. Useful. Now, you have been a teacher previously, before
Yes,
you
that
got
is
into
correct.
NLP full-time, right?
Yes.
So, if you come across a student, for example, there is a student, he's 7-8 years old, and he can't take no for something. Like, when he's inside, his head teacher brought him to me approximately 2 weeks back. And he says that there is an issue, and that is that this student has to be the best in anything. The moment he knows that he's second that maths test or English test, or he has failed anything, or he's forgotten anything, he just kicks up a storm, right? So how would you counsel or program or say help
Condition.
or condition a student who's 8 years old and who is totally, or he can't take no, or he can't accept a second position in any given field of knowledge.
As I mentioned, NLP is based on modeling certain therapeutic geniuses like Dr. Milton Erickson, who redefined the field of hypnosis. And every once in a while, people would ask him, how would you deal with this particular sort of client? And Erickson would say, I don't know, but I'm very curious to find out how. Because the problem is I don't have the kid in front of me, so it's very difficult to say how would I interact with that kid. But one of the first things I would be curious about finding out is, what does it mean to him? What does it mean to him not to be first? What does it mean to him to be first? What does he attach to being first? What does he attach to being not first? That may or may not give leverage, provide a fulcrum for change.
So it's mainly the value you attach to something, because then probably restructuring that particular value system could.
Yes. What does it mean? What is the meaning he attaches to winning and
so
coming second place?
I'm the best. Or
It could also be fruitful, of course, to look as to the intentions. What are his real intentions for acting out this way? And pointing out to him, which I believe spontaneously is the case, that to encourage him to also explore not just the intentions but also the consequences of his actions. Because the moment the kid realizes that, well, throwing a temper tantrum isn't going to give me what I really want, the long-term effects of throwing temper tantrums, it's not going to work. Working hard at becoming number one again, maybe even a better option.
once again, create more options. Now, good stuff. We had an amazing discussion. Thanks so much. And we are getting to the end of the program. And probably this is a good time to get both of you into action. Say, if the scenario is something related to relationships, if you are speaking to a few people who have relationship issues and probably you could help them, would you both like to join in a say kind of duo, kind of doing it together, kind of relationship suggestions, sharing with the viewers who might find it a little exciting?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, so over to you.
Okay. So listen, Thomas, I have this new boyfriend. He's like all that I want, all that I've like dreamed about for like all my life, you know? And then he came, okay? And I thought that I was prepared for him, you know, because, you know, I've done all this work, you know, this thing, how you call it, NLP, coaching.
So you did the NLP, okay?
Yeah, you know, and also I read lots of books, you know, because at the back of a book it says, read this, it will change your life and your relationships. So I learned that, and I got everything. I thought I've got everything, and you know, it's here. I can feel it. It's here. It's in my head. And then, you know, I met this guy, you know, he came, and he's somebody like, you know, like I've always dreamed about. And then I realized that everything I read in that book, it just didn't work. You know, it scared him. I was apparently like very overwhelming. And, you know, to be honest with you, I went with like, oh, you know, this is like, you know, amazing. And I told him everything, you know, because in that book, it tells that I need to be honest. That I have to go and say what I want and how I want it. And I actually started talking to him about, you know, the time is ticking, you know, babies, you know, things.
Okay, so the first rule about honesty, no honesty before the coffee in the morning.
Okay.
So there is a time and a place for everything. The second thing, I mean, personally, I absolutely subscribe to the idea that one should strive for honesty. But at the same time, when you open up your heart like that, maybe you should do it like one step at a time.
But I don't have time, Thomas, to wait. And also, I've seen it in my family also, every single female member of my family, they didn't read those books, but they seem to have followed the strategy. And now when I think about it, maybe the book even didn't say that. Maybe I was just programmed to do it like that. Can you help me unprogram myself, please?
Well, I think you just did, or you just started to.
You mean just having this insight?
Well, let me ask you. When you follow these steps, this idea about how to go about it, from whom did you get them?
My
When
mother.
did you start believing that those steps were the right way to go about?
I was probably 7 or 8.
And when you think about those steps yourself, do you agree with them?
No, not always. Now that you mention it, no, not always. It's very interesting because I apply this strategy to every relationship.
Which is quite common. Everything is an example of something else. So.
Okay. Right. So, this is kind of... So what else can I do? Is there some quick technique you can tell me? Because, when I kind of, I've seen this guy and also I meet other people and whatever, I keep having this internal dialogue in my head, telling me okay, now you need to sit like this, you need to smile, you need to say certain thing. Is there anything, if I could just, block, that guy, this voice inside of my head, I'd really be happy. That
then
would
it
just,
could be real quiet.
Yes, but how do I do that? Is there a way of doing that?
Yeah, sure.
How can you
There
teach
is a
me,
very
please?
simple technique.
Can you teach me, please?
So whenever you have internal voices that interrupt what you're attempting to do, so take your tongue and tense it. Tense it, make it real hard. And tense
Can I
it
open
like
my eyes or can I close them?
That's entirely up to you.
Can I sit or stand?
That's entirely up to you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so I can lie down also and do it?
You can even lie down.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
So tense your tongue to the max, 1, 2, and even harder. And a little bit harder. And now relax it. And one more time, tense it. Make it real tense. And tense it, tense it, tense it. And please do this. And relax it. And 1/3 time. Tense your tongue. Make it real tense. And now just allow it to relax down towards the floor of your mouth. And what happened with all the internal voices?
Wow, this is very good.
So this technique
Thank you.
can usually offer you a temporary relief from internal voices.
Temporary.
Yeah, it will give you a temporary relief from them.
So if I do it more often, I can condition it so that it becomes a part of me, so I don't have that internal dialogue in those situations?
Sure.
Okay.
Bearing in mind, of course, that those internal voices may have an important function to play.
Okay.
So you may not want to turn them off forever, but there are certain other things. When you listen to those voices, they give you sort of an external frame of reference.
Yes.
And the question I would like to ask you is, what do you feel? What do you think?
Most times, in fact 9 out of 10 times, those voices are just not really in line with what I believe or think. It's just that they're there, so I go on impulse.
Because the moment you start directing your attention more towards your own frames of reference, what you really believe, what you think, what you feel, then that's an important big step to take. Because when you're in a relationship, you want to be you.
Yes, yeah, I really want to, because I'm amazing when I'm me, and I feel that this voice is so overwhelming and it's so loud that it takes over.
Okay, turn the volume down again.
Can I do that?
Turn the volume. Yes, you can.
Can I do it?
Sure.
So I can.
It's just a matter of finding the volume control.
And is that the NLP technique?
Well, yeah. One of them. One of many.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Great. So that's how it works. Say from simple to complex and complex to simple. Excellent.
Yes.
So we had the privilege of having here with us today Lidia Marosati from Serbia and Thomas Björk from Sweden.
Thank you.
You both have been amazing. That I think that could be the first session of so many other sessions which we might do together. But we understand that NLP is something evolving, and
Yes.
and you are contributing at the same time while you're learning. Both of you are also starting your 30 Steps TV series.
Yes.
So it's 30 Steps to.
It's like 30 small steps
Okay.
to great results.
Right.
And it's just basically a popcorn, sound bites
Oh, okay, excellent.
of NLP strategies, totally practical,
Great.
where within the space of 3 to 5 minutes, we would guide people to experience different NLP processes and techniques, both from the classic and the new code, and also a lot of them from the field of self-coaching.
Excellent. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sure you're going to add a lot of quality to the quality
Yes.
stuff in the market. At the same time, I heard of a book probably you're working together.
Yes,
So
popcorn
hoping-
for the soul.
Wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I wish you all the very best with it, and do keep inspiring and keep making difference to the lives around us. Many thanks for your time today with us at Profile, and thank you, viewers. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you.